If you're in a stairwell late at night and you can never seem to reach the floor where your apartment is, unable to return home, what would you do? Today's story is a submission from a fan named Sandra. It recounts a true, bizarre experience they had a few years ago with their ex-boyfriend. To make the story more vivid and easier to understand, I'll narrate it in the first person. My ex-boyfriend and I were college classmates. In 2018, right after we graduated, we both started working. Since we were new to the workforce, our income wasn't high, but we both wanted a certain quality of life, so we decided to rent a one-bedroom apartment in a high-end neighborhood in Harbin on a monthly basis. After paying the rent, we were left with barely any money. To ease our financial burden, my boyfriend's parents planned to buy us a home. At the time, our relationship was very good, and we were planning to get married the following year. So this home would also become our future marital residence. However, new apartments were quite expensive back then and located far from where we worked. After weighing the pros and cons, we decided to buy a second-hand apartment in the same upscale community we were renting in. Although it was a resale unit, it had a high cost-performance ratio because the original apartments came with quality renovations. We found a unit online that we were satisfied with in terms of both price and floor level. When we reached the designated floor, we noticed that several doors had talismans posted on them. The agent explained these were for attracting wealth. My boyfriend and I didn't think much of it at the time. We just assumed the previous owners were superstitious. After we bought the place, we adopted a 1-year-old golden retriever from a friend and named him Jack. Back then, we were both night owls, especially my boyfriend, who often stayed up until 1 or 2 a.m. Because of that, we usually walked the dog around 10 p.m. when the neighborhood was quiet and Jack could run around freely. If it was too late, we'd take him to the underground parking garage or stairwell to let him play. We made sure she got plenty of activity every day. This incident happened around midnight one night. We were cleaning the apartment and had just finished mopping the floors. My boyfriend noticed that the living room floor was still damp, so he opened the door to let the air circulate and help it dry. He forgot that Jack might slip out through the open door. When I went to close it, I realized he was already gone. We lived on the 8th floor, about halfway up the building. My boyfriend and I split up to search the stairwell. He went upstairs, I went down. I checked each floor carefully. When I got to the ground floor, I didn't see Jack anywhere, and the building's entrance was shut, so she definitely couldn't have gotten out. I quickly called my boyfriend. He said he had already searched the top floor and hadn't seen Jack. I told him, "Let's search again. Maybe she's just sitting near someone's door." After hanging up, I continued searching. A few minutes later, I reached the 7th floor and still didn't see her. I called my boyfriend again to ask where he was, and he said he had just reached the 2nd floor. At that moment, I was completely baffled. There's only one stairwell in the building, and I had checked every floor thoroughly. The fire doors on each floor's entryway were all closed. How could my boyfriend and I have missed each other? Feeling a bit annoyed, I said, "I'm coming down to meet you. Don't hang up, just keep heading up." But by the time I had reached the 2nd floor, I still didn't see him. Then suddenly, his voice came through the phone saying he had already reached the 5th floor. At that moment, a scene from a horror movie I'd once seen popped into my head about a couple in a parking garage. Even though they were just steps apart, they couldn't see each other. I couldn't help but shiver all over. I didn't want to worry my boyfriend, so I forced myself to sound calm and said, "I'm heading home first. You keep looking carefully." After hanging up, I realized my legs had gone weak. They no longer obeyed me. Forcing down the fear inside, I started climbing back up toward the 8th floor, one slow, agonizing step at a time. But when I finally made it back up, I was completely stunned. I had somehow reached the 9th floor. Thinking I must have misread it, I rubbed my eyes hard. But no, it really was the 9th floor. So I turned back and started walking down again. Then I found myself back on the 7th floor. I went up and down like that 2 or 3 times, but no matter what, I just couldn't reach the 8th floor. I pulled out my phone and called my boyfriend again, but this time, his phone wouldn't connect. I was so terrified I didn't know what to do. I just crouched down in the stairwell and started crying uncontrollably. After crying for a while, I suddenly remembered there was an elevator. I ran to the 9th floor elevator lobby and got in. I pressed the button for the 8th floor. Luckily, the elevator worked fine. As soon as the doors opened, I ran out and quickly opened the door to our apartment. I immediately called my boyfriend again. Thankfully, this time he picked up. He said he had found Nuno. I told him not to take the stairs and to come back via the elevator right away. When he returned, I told him what had just happened. He also felt something was really off. After I had said I was going home, he had continued searching for Nuno on his own. But while walking down from the top floor, even after more than 10 minutes, he still hadn't reached the ground floor. Normally, when we walked Jack in the stairwell, it took just 3 to 5 minutes to reach the bottom. We both sat quietly for a long while, trying to process everything. Then we looked at the time and realized it was already past 1 a.m. Somehow, all that time had passed without us noticing. From that day on, our habits completely changed. For months afterward, we never dared to stay up late again. Even when cleaning the house, we made sure it was done on weekend mornings. And we never walked Nuno in the stairwell or parking garage again. Back then, we didn't understand why Jack always barked at night while in the parking garage. But now, it seemed clear. She must have seen something invisible to human eyes. After this incident, I started getting injured and falling ill frequently. Both my physical and mental health seemed off. Our families had originally encouraged us to get married soon, hoping it would bring better fortune. But in the end, my ex-boyfriend and I didn't end up together. After the incident, it was like he had become a completely different person. From being attentive and caring, he started working overtime constantly and barely came home. When he did talk to me, he was always impatient, even yelling at me sometimes. We argued a few times, but nothing changed. Later, I accidentally discovered that he had been having an ambiguous relationship with a female coworker. That final time, I didn't fight with him. I simply ended the relationship calmly.